Hello and welcome along to Mondo Chelloveck Movies. My name is John, and this video is going to be what I've watched in the month of March 2023. Yes, I know I'm very late to the party with this one, but first I'd like to give a shout out to my good friend Marianne. In work today, she brought in some croissants. So she said to me, take one for you and take one for Deborah. So just to recap, that's two croissants for me to eat with my coffee this morning. So thanks once again, Marianne. Cheers. So first up in March, I watched House on the Edge of the Park. This is the 88 films release in the Italian Classics collection. It is spine number 78 from 1980. You get your alternative art there. This 4K is spectacular. The way that 88 are doing their 4Ks at the minute is brilliant. Now, the best thing about this movie is that it's like a brand new movie in the Italian Classics collection. And they are re-releasing some of the older ones here, which I've got no problem with. But I do really want to see them get some new stuff out as well, which they're doing. It's just brilliant to see this stuff coming out in 4K. And 88 are making a good job of these movies. Now, saying that, this movie is up for getting like redone. It's going to be there's a problem with the framing of the movie, which I didn't personally see, and also there's some dropouts with the audio sync. Now, I did notice it, but I've got to say that it's probably about seconds long. But anyway, they're going to send out a new disc. If you bought this directly from 88 Films, they will send you out a replacement disc. And if you're like me, when you bought them from HMV, I have got the receipt for this. So I'd imagine you just got to have proof of your sort of purchase and it will get that off to you. I don't know when that's going to happen. But this movie, I've got to say, when I watched this again and I took sort of a lot more notice of this movie, there's a lot more going on here than I previously thought. And of course, last week we lost one of the main stars of this movie, Giovanni Lombardo Ricci, otherwise known as John Morgan. He starred in all these video nasties. It's amazing how many ones he's actually been in and being killed. No spoiler alert, but he gets killed in every single one. And it's not. There's no pictures of him actually on this release, sadly. But I think that this movie, I know it's got these few issues which we're going to deal with, which I don't personally even. It doesn't put me off this release at all. But I think this movie looks spectacular, especially the 4K on the black scenes, the dark scenes. They just come to life. The colours on here are exceptional. So I highly recommend any 4K that 88 do. They really are doing the best releases of these classic Italian video nasties, and this one is fully uncut as well, so don't worry about that one. So that's highly recommended by me. I just love this edition. That's House on the Edge of the Park. Next up, me and the Debs watched Blades. Wow. This is a Vinegar Syndrome release with this exquisite slipcover on. The slipcovers from here, you know, I go on about them all the time, but quite rightly, they are the best slipcovers you will ever have. The quality of them is unbelievable. You do get a sort of reversible art on here, and you got your disc in there as well. So this movie, for those who don't know, I'm going to put this up here. This is basically Jaws on a golf course. Yes, I know that sounds crazy, but it's true. It features a killer lawnmower. The shark is basically the lawnmower that is traversing around this golf course. And you've got these three characters on here who are kind of very reminiscent of the Jaws characters in a fashion. And they go to try and hunt down this lawnmower. And I tell you what, there's some things in here. Me and Deborah were having such a laugh with this movie. The extras on here are brilliant as well. Check out the extras to realize that this director went to his friend who was, I think he was in some kind of financial difficulty, and said to him, "Is there any chance of like getting you a golf course to shoot a movie?" He says, "Yeah, no problem." I think he was in jail at the time for some fraudulent behaviour. So he said to him, "Yeah, you can use the golf course." So they literally lived in the hotel in the golf course on the off season and shot this movie. Wow. I tell you what, it looks spectacular on this. This is the Blu-ray, and the picture quality is absolutely brilliant, as always with Vinegar Syndrome. Now, without going any spoilers, obviously you know how Jaws goes, so it's basically playing out all the way of Jaws. There's loads of nodbacks to Jaws on this movie, and for instance, is when they have the three barrels, the yellow barrels that you shoot into the shark to know where it is. In this movie, they have three haystacks, and when you see the three haystacks, you know that the lawnmower is coming. Wow, can you believe it? And I think in the extras here, someone had said to him, the director had said, "Yes, I know this isn't a great movie by any stretch of the imagination, but this is definitely the best ever killer lawnmower movie that's ever been released. And I agree with them on that one. But yeah, so highly, highly recommended. If you can get your hands on this, you're in for such a treat. It's so funny. It's intentionally funny. I mean, I just can't describe how good this movie is. And I mean, I said to Deborah, look, I told her a little bit about it. She says, well, what part of enjoyment am I going to get out of something stupid as that? And I said, well, just go with it. And I'll tell you what, she had a really good time with it. So highly recommended. That's Blades. As I said on the previous video, I've been in a real Elvis kick at the moment. So I've watched a couple of his films in the month of March. And first up, I watched Roustabout from 1963. This is a great movie. I like them all. I'm going to say it's a great movie, but to me, it's a great movie. This is when Elvis is trying to be a bit like a James Dean character on his motorbike, and he's got this brooding air about him. I think it's a great film. It's where he goes and works in a sort of carnival, and he tries to, when he does the wall of death on this motorbike, that's a great scene. In fact, there's loads of great. I think the best bit about this movie is he's like a bad boy in it. He doesn't play many bad boys, but in this one, he's been a bit of a sort of a Marlon Brando type character. It's got a great cast in here as well. I can't remember. There wasn't many songs in here that I thought were any good, if I'm honest. It kind of plays. Obviously, he goes to this with his traveling carnival, and they say to him, "What can you do?" And he says, "Well, I can sing as well as put all the rides up." So it says we can sing some songs at the end of it, and he becomes like sought after. It's kind of refreshing to see Elvis's character in a movie a bit different from his usual one, where he plays a sort of a bit of a bad boy. So that's Roustabout. And then next I watched Paradise Hawaiian Style. Now this is getting back to the Elvis that you all know in movies where he's a sort of, he does everything right. He's very hip and he's got that sort of like mediocre character. When I say mediocre, I mean like middle of the road. He doesn't offend anybody. I think that was the good old Colonel was putting him up to that. But this is a great movie. He works in this as a helicopter pilot, and he ferries people across, in these islands in Hawaii. As with most Elvis movies, there's always some strange things in here. One of the bits in here is when he's in a plane at the cockpit, and he's flying these load of dogs over to another part of the island, and they're singing "It's a Dog's Life," and the dogs are going absolutely nuts in this cockpit. And also as well, anything that's done I think what they would have done is they would have filmed most of this and then they would have went for pickups. So they've used like an Elvis lookalike to do the pickups. And apart from the fact he's probably got this black wig on, he looks nothing like Elvis. So obviously the people flying the helicopters look nothing like him, just with the black wig on. So it was quite funny actually, but in a good way. I do get a blast out of these Elvis films and I take them for what they are and I just find them quite highly enjoyable. So that's Paradise Hawaiian Style. So next, me and the Debs watched our favourite movie from last year. Yes, Top Gun Maverick. We just love this movie, and I never thought I would like it this much. But I just think it's funny when I watched this. I thought, well, I like it as much as the two times I saw it in the cinema. And yes, the answer is yes. Me and Deborah both think this movie is just spectacular. It's such a, it's just, I don't know, it's just got everything in about that I like in the movie. Now, Top Gun's all right. It's not really my go-to movie at all. It's a bit too 80s for me. It is very cheesy, but it's a bit not the right type of cheese, if that makes any sense. But this one here just it's cheesy as well, but cheesy in the right way. And of course, the sound quality in here is absolutely unbelievable. It's one of those ones that test your system to the max, but it's honestly, it's unbelievable. And also the picture quality here, it's probably one of the best picture qualities you'll see. It was great in the cinema, but this is one of the best 4Ks you'll ever see. So if you want a demo disc, look no further. And the movie's great as well. So highly, highly recommended. That's Top Gun Maverick. So next up, with a big shout out to my good friend Dave Ramsden and Jill. I watched The Golden Glove. Wow, this movie is incredible. I have to watch it again, actually. It's one of those movies when you watch it and you think, I can't believe what I'm seeing, but I'll have to watch it again. Now, this is a true story of this serial killer called Fritz Honker. Now, this bloke here, Jonas Dassler, is playing him, and he's obviously got a lot of makeup on there. And this movie is set in the 70s. I don't know if you can see that there, and it's grotty, it's grubby. And they've got these, I mean, look at that for like how the house looks. It actually look. You think this was like the look of it. You think it was a documentary because they've got. You can even sort of kind of smell this movie, which sounds awful, but you know what I'm saying. This is just. It's someone else. The picture quality is absolutely brilliant on it as well. But the performances from this fella here, and actually the supporting actresses and actors, they're all brilliant in here. And there's some really like the stuff. I mean, I don't know if it's a comedy. I don't think it's a comedy, but I did find that parts of this movie I was quite laughing out loud, which sounds particularly mad when you hear what it's all about. Where it's basically this fella who kills these people and puts them in his flat, and bits like you hear these people when they put them in a flat and the house starts to smell, and it's how he gets rid of the smell and what he does with these people. But it's the things that the stuff in here is stuff like I've never seen before in a movie. It is so extreme with a sort of slight comedic air in a fashion. The things that happen I could never talk about in here, but I urge anybody who's a fan of extreme movies, do check this movie out and do try and find it. It's from 2019, and it's just a great bit of cinema that I would have never ever known about if not for Dave sending this to me. And he's got this like strange look about him, which is totally makeup. He doesn't look like that, but the actual real person does look like this. But some of the scenarios he gets into, for the fact of I think he's an alcoholic and just the drink gets a hold of him and does change him into this sort of other person. But I don't know, it's just one of those movies that's the atmosphere and the reality of the movie is the thing that really sets this movie apart. It would be a definite one if it was in the part of the video nasties, debacle. This one wouldn't have been allowed in the country, a bit like Necromantic, although it's nothing like Necromantic. But wow, yeah, you've got to see it to believe it. But I can't express how good this movie is. But it is very extreme. It's not one you can sort of watch with your family or anything. But great movie. So thanks once again, Dave and Jill. You really opened my eyes with this one. That's the Golden Glove. Next up, me and the Debs watched Plebs, Soldiers of Rome. It's the box set of Plebs, 1 to 3, though there's about 5 or 6 series. But the film was actually the finish of the whole series or saga. And we love these. We've watched these from day one, and I think they're just so funny. This character here, he's not in this anymore because he's not in it from I think season 4, and so it's a different person there. But it was brilliant actually, and it was good to think that they've done that. They've kind of ended in a good way, and it's come full circle, and it was a good sort of full stop to it. And the film was quite enjoyable because sometimes when you get these things that are made into sort of movies or feature length episodes, they just lose something, but it didn't for me. I thought it was equally as funny as the series. The series is good. If you haven't heard of this one or you don't know about it, do check it out because it's a right laugh from start to finish. Yeah, so highly recommended that movie. You can see it on ITV X or something like that. So that's Plebs, Soldiers of Rome. Next up, and with a shout out to my good friend Roger Preeb, I watched Quarter Bin. Now, this is a movie that Roger made. I'll quickly read this out again. This is a copy of my movie that I created and directed. It's called Quarter Bin. It's basically friends in a comic book store, but with a twist. This is the new Blu-ray that I just put together. It has a bunch of special features on it, including a commentary track and the original pilot that I did when it is going to be a TV show. The movie is free to watch on Tubi if anyone out there wants to check it out. So yeah, I watched this. I watched the special features as well. I had a great time in this movie. And actually, the Blu-ray looks excellent quality. This movie's from 2015. And it's great to actually think that Roger has actually done this, and the director has sent me this movie to look at. And I kind of thank you enough, Roger. This is actually, it's region free as well, as you can see. And the characters there, the people are absolutely, they're brilliant in this. I had a great time with their characters. The two there, the actor and the actress there, I really was drawn to them. And there's some great sort of romance in this movie as well. And will they, won't they get together scenarios. But this whole thing in the comic book store is great because it's really brings, it's a bit like, it always reminds me of Clerks in a fashion. It's got this kind of realistic air about it, although it's not as graphic as Clerks is, of course. But this movie is very watchable, and I would like anybody, if you can get a hold of it or can see it in Tubi, to check it out because I had a great time with it. If you're a fan of Clerks and that type of movie, I think you would really like this movie. And I want to thank Roger once again for getting this over to me. And I really do think it's a great movie, and it's an achievement actually for somebody to just say, right, I'm going to do something. And he's done it. It's not somebody who's like thought about it and thought, oh, well, I'm going to do it and never do it. He's actually stepped up the plate and says, I'm going to make a movie. And he's done this, and he's created a great movie, I find. So big thanks to Roger again for sending this to me. I really do appreciate that, and great film, and I will be watching this again. So that's Waterbin. And lastly, in the month of March, although it seems like 1,000 years ago, me and the Debs watched John Wick 4. Now, we are big fans of John Wick, and this movie was exceptional. It had everything going for it. The martial arts in it is fantastic. It has nunchuckers as well. It's wall to wall action. It takes a little bit of getting into. It's a bit about 3 hours. Is it nearly 3 hours long? It takes a little bit of starting up, but I tell you what, once it kicks in, it doesn't let up. You've got the amazing Donnie Yen as well. So you've got everything in this movie. Now, this won't go into any spoilers. I do think that this is a great addition to this franchise. And there's a lot of stuff in it that there's that much action in happening, things happening to people getting kicked downstairs and then getting back up again and getting kicked down. The things that happen to these people would fell you and I, but you've got to understand that some of this movie is sort of like in the martial arts cinema, you've got a thing called heroic bloodshed, and that's why people are flying through the airs and they're getting not really dying. I think you've got to factor a lot of it into this movie. I think this movie owes a lot to Asian cinema, maybe with the influence of Donnie Yen. But I find that this one, it's great. I think this series is getting better as it goes along. I like them all, and I did think until this one came out that part three was my favourite, and we need to go and sit down and watch the whole lot again and just see where we'll put them all in because we're. But I do think that this at this point, three and four are tied with me. The action in here is fantastic. Just everything about it was brilliant. The picture quality and the cinema. I think we saw it in IMAX. As far as action slash martial arts movies to a certain extent go, this is top tier. It's got everything for me. Like I say, me and the Debs we're big fans of Keanu Reeves in this role, and also the Donnie Yen, of course. I think he's great. So yeah, so can't recommend this highly enough. It'll be a day one purchase for me on 4K when it comes out because all the other 4Ks look stunning. And the picture, obviously, you want to know that the sort of quality of the neon stuff is in here. It didn't start off that way, and I thought, oh, is this going to be a bit subdued? But it wasn't. It came to life when the action started to go and they moved into a certain area. But again, another amazing entry into this saga. That's John Wick 4. Right, so I'm now going to go and fire up the espresso machine. So thanks for watching, especially you, Marianne. You take care, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers.